It's another mock draft. This time, it's for points leagues. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm going to engage with my mind and my heart. And I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, through to September the 22nd, FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of an NFL Sunday Ticket. From YouTube and YouTube TV, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms, so give us that thumbs up and double bang and comments. Just quickly, again, Points League mock. Yahoo standard scoring 12 teams. I'm not hosting it on Yahoo. It is just unwieldy to get a points league mock draft going on Yahoo. You can't just jump into the mock draft room because they're non-specific. Just organizing a real draft, you have to give it hours in advance to do it. And then if something doesn't happen, it pushes you back. It's just very tough to do. So it's easy to host the mock drafts on Fantrax. And that is exactly what we are doing. So it is Yahoo scoring, but I am hosting it on Fantrax. Got that part? It's true. I will do one at some point through the Yahoo software. Not at this point. We'll do that later on in September, but it is just way easier, especially when I do an impromptu one like I'm doing this morning. So we'll get into this draft in a second. I'm going to be picking at number 8, but we're going to clear our decks here because today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. We've talked about FanDuel for years, many years. They've been a great supporter of us, and now they've got something else they're going to give back to you. Something a little different. Right now, all the way through to September the 22nd, FanDuel customers can bet $5 and they get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then when you've got that YouTube TV base plan, you're able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn now to download America's #1 sportsbook. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. Non-negotiables, self-care. Those two things should go together because we have to look after ourselves. Otherwise, it does become a harder task for us to look after others. And BetterHelp can come in there. We have ideas of what self-help can be. Maybe it is going to the gym, hanging out with mates, playing video games, but therapy can also be a form of self-care. Getting your thoughts out to an unbiased person who can help you deal with them, process them, and be your best self to be there for your colleagues, your friends. I don't know why I put colleagues first. Friends, family, whatever it is that you need to do with your everyday responsibilities. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed, as you're well aware, to suit your schedule. You fill out a questionnaire, they match you with a therapist. If that doesn't work for you and that therapist you don't click with, well, you can change over to a new therapist free of charge. So don't skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Go across to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. And now we might as well just go into the draft room and get ready to do this draft. Yahoo, points format, 12 teams, mock draft, first of the season. I'm picking at number 8. All right, let's bring it across. Let's take a look at this draft. We're 5 seconds away from it starting out. As I said, I am picking at number 8. We've got a couple of fantasy analysts in here. Karan's in here. We've got Detskeller from Menace Podman, Adam Stock from Elite Fantasy Basketball is in here too, and then a bunch of other people who joined in from Twitter. So Jokic goes at number 1 to Mosab, and Karan, who picked in the last mock, the Category League mock, he was at number 12. He's in a different spot here at number 2. When this order randomized, it put me at number 3 again. I said, I'm not going 3 again. We'll have to mix that up and move myself down to number 8. This guy by the name of Alperen Şengün is picking at number 3. He goes Luka Doncic. So ignoring the 2-week game, the 2-game week in the playoffs, which again is fine if that's the way you want to go. I find that really hard to get my head around, but in a points format, there is a significant difference between Luka and, say, taking an Anthony Davis or somebody like that. So I don't mind that. Detzker just taking his time with his pick. It's winding down. He's really thinking about it. He takes Giannis at number 4, which they are my top 4 projected points per game fantasy guys. Now the tough decision. Do you take Shea, Davis? You probably don't take Embiid, but this is the per game zone that he's in. I'm hoping for my pick at number 8 that I'm able to get Domantas Sabonis. We'll see whether that comes true or not. We still don't really, not that we don't know, but we won't know until the season actually tips off as to how DeMar DeRozan's impact is felt. Not that Sabonis was a high usage guy, a lot of rebounds, but he can lose some assists. He might lose some shots, but he does generally put up pretty good numbers in a points scoring format. Adam Stock at number 6 takes Anthony Davis. This all makes complete sense to me. The one that's hanging out there is Joel Embiid. He's probably going to be available to me there at number 8, and I am going to ignore him. I'm almost certain of that. I'm going to throw Sabonis into my queue here because I don't want to take Embiid in the first round. I've said this many times. I'll be relatively consistent with doing that. I will do a mock draft at some point where I take Embiid, but that is not going to be my preference. So he takes Jason Tatum, which is interesting. I do have Tatum projected decently well for a points league. The other guys that I have up the top of my projections aren't players that I'm feeling super strongly or super confident with. Like one of them is LeBron. One of them is LaMelo. And I'm not going to grab them there. So I'll take Sabonis at this spot. And then I hope, I actually will be okay, I think, on the flip back around of getting a LeBron or getting LaMelo in that second round. If that's a possibility. It probably won't be. Anthony Edwards goes at 9. Again, there's a lot of wish casting with Anthony Edwards. He, even in a points league, has not been this high before. He was 23rd in fantasy points last season, averaging 42.5. To get into this zone, you probably need to be going 48. So where does he get them from? I don't really know. But people are drafting him top 10 categories, top 10 points. I think you're going to be disappointed. And people will say, well, he's a baller. He just plays through it. All it takes, right, is for him to actually be hurt, and then you have no shot of this being value. And I don't like that sort of approach. Embiid goes at 11. Halliburton goes at 10. Halliburton, not as good of a points league guy. I don't think he's a first-round player. Well, he's adjacent to a first-round player. He's not he's a clear top 10 category guy, but not a points guy. And then Trae Young goes at number 12, who's also probably a little bit worse in a points league than a category league. So far, we've got 4 more picks back until me. LeBron and LaMelo are sitting there for me. What is interesting is in my projections, Alperen Şengün is coming out very high. And a couple of the other risky guys are there as well. So Donovan Mitchell goes with Trae Young on the turn. I don't have Don Mitchell in the top 20 for fantasy points leagues. Mitchell where was he last season? He was 11th in 46 points a game. I think that he's going to see his minutes drop a bit this season because of the new coach. Scott Barnes goes at 14. That is reasonable. I think that is a reasonable spot for Barnes. Probably more so in categories than points, but it's pretty reasonable here. 2 more picks. Do I pull the LaMelo trigger? Do I just take LeBron? They're both sitting very clearly at the top of my list. So is Kawhi, and I'm not doing that. Durant goes there, which I would not recommend at all. I don't think that is... Durant was over the final 3 months of last season 40th, I think. I have no interest in Kevin Durant in that spot. And then Steph goes next. So I have LaMelo available to me here. I have LeBron available to me here. Which one do we do? What do you think, chat? I know you can't respond in real time. LeBron or LaMelo? I've both got them as top 10 per game players. You know what? I'll talk so much about LaMelo all the way through this process. I'm just going to take LeBron at that spot, which I'm pretty happy with. LeBron was the 9th ranked player in Yahoo Points League scoring last season. I'm getting him there at pick number 17. Obviously, he's a million years old. He could get hurt. But Luka takes LaMelo Ball. Good pick, my guy. Now, if this guy that's called Alperen Şengün doesn't take Alperen Şengün, I will be very shocked because, again, I think he's right in this zone. Şengün was 21st per game in points leagues last season. I think he can easily return that value. Easily. Let's see what Stocky does here. All right. You're still believing LeBron can defy Father Time. Well, I mean, like, at this point, I don't have to believe it because I've seen it. Oh, Adam Stock goes Paulo Banchero there, which is okay. I think he's really close to a top 25 on a per game basis. And if all you do is a 5-10% extra jump and you're easily into this spot. The balls are big on Adam Stock. We know that. I like it. In a category league, please don't do this. But in a points league, go for it. Let's see what Sugar does here. Sugar is always in these drafts. He's always appearing here. I know he is. I see him all the time. So is Raised by Wolves. They're always in my mocks. He took Shea in round 1, Sugar. Let's see what he does here. And he takes Devin Booker, which is pretty reasonable. The ones that are really hanging around here, again, Şengün, Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Jim Harden, Jalen Brunson. They're probably, there goes Jim at pick number 21. The Şengün one is, now I'm not going to get Şengün, but I'm all about it if you can come back to me. That is the direction I will go. But this guy's name is Alperen Şengün. Surely he takes Alperen Şengün. If he doesn't, I require he does not. What is going on? He takes Jalen Brunson. That requires an investigation. Brunson is totally reasonable there. But your team name is Alperen Şengün. Ooh, Karan, I like Ja Morant there. I said, why don't I said it like that? I like Ja Morant at that spot. A lot of people will blanch at that pick. I think it's 100% reasonable to take Morant in that position. And then we have Mosab looking to round out round 2, and then start off round 3 after he took Jokic. Again, Kawhi just hanging out there at the moment. Şengün and Zion, Cade, Fox. There's some names that I am looking for here. Well, there goes Fox to finish off that round. Pretty solid, but much like my pick with Sabonis, the impact of DeRozan is yet to be realized. We don't know. Now, DeRozan, I think, is worse than both Fox and Sabonis as a player, but how that gets incorporated into Mike Brown's offense, we don't know at this point. And that's, uncertainties with players joining teams can be the downfall a lot in fantasy. Often for the guy that joins the team, but sometimes for the peripheral guys around as well. And there goes Şengün, which Mosab, I think, is a really, really good pick. And again, the team named Alperen Şengün, not really sure what you're doing. So now we get into the riskies, the Cades, Zion, Randall, Siakam. I don't think they're that risky, but they're in this zone. Paul George, DeJounte Murray. Well, there goes, Karan is really firing into those two guys, 2019 draft, injury risk-ish type players in Zion and Morant. But if they pan out, that's good value at that spot. That is Alperen Şengün. Now, I'm sorry, you have been my man in the target today. We know the playoff schedule. We know when I made these two guys as my first 2 picks last mock draft, I didn't know it. You know it, and you took Doncic and Kyrie. Bad combination. Do not do that. Do not do that. No offense to this guy. Again, there's always got to be a main character of a mock draft, doesn't it? It's him at the moment. Someone else will appear later, don't worry. Cade goes with the next selection at number 28. That is really strong. Now we move into that forward section. Siakam, Randall, Jalen Johnson, Evan Mobley. In a points league, we don't need to worry about assists or rebounds or anything like that. We do need to worry about our positions, and I've got 2 forwards, or center with Sabonis, who has forward eligibility. So I do need to start getting guards at some stage. Adam Stock takes Damian Lillard. Kawhi went next to Sugar. Also, Kawhi went before that to Sugar. Then it was Lillard. And we are getting back to my pick. I'm looking at Siakam. I'm looking at Julius Randle, Jalen Johnson, DeJounte Murray. Do I take the guard play there? I don't know. Paul George went, so I can't take him. Do I take Randall? Do I trust that he does this? I think I just might take DeJounte there. Get myself a point guard. The differences as we move through the rounds, and I am doing work on this, I'm trying to find the best way to present this information, which I'll do at some point. But it's about actual rankings of players, not your first, your second, your third. It's you're first, and then the next guy might be 9th, and the next guy is equivalent to 20th, and then the next 30 players are all ranked 30th, or whatever it is, just to give you an understanding that if you go off the board and you're a round out, who cares? Because the differences in projections of these guys and how small the margins can be, we don't need to hyper-focus on this guy before this guy or this guy after this guy. So after I took DeJounte Murray was Tyrese Maxey. Then it's Lauri Markkanen at 34. Bam Adebayo at 35. And then we're looking at raised by Wolves to, I believe that's MB Greenshoots. I think that's his name. I think that's him. He's in these drafts. So he takes Jaren Jackson there at the end of round 3. The names that are sort of hanging around here for me, Randall, Jalen Johnson still there, Jalen Williams still there, a little bit of a surprise as well. There goes Chet Holmgren, which I think is probably realistic as a points league guy. Last season he was what? He was 52nd in points league numbers per game. So we don't need to be looking at him any earlier than that. Fred VanVleet goes at the start there. The second pick of round 2, pick number 38. We're 2 picks away from mine. So a lot of those guys I was debating before, Siakam, Randall, Johnson, Mobley, Chet's gone, Mobley, they're all still available, and I'm going to get one of them. Let's just throw Jalen Williams, Jalen Johnson, Evan Mobley into the queue. Let's find Siakam as well. Well, someone just went. The Bronco Jalen Williams just went. Pascal Siakam just went. This, I know we don't really know how things are going to work in New York, but I feel all right about taking Julius Randle here. Or do I just take Jalen Johnson? What's their difference? It was 5 points difference per game last season. I think Johnson pushes up. I think Randle pushes down. I think they could be similar. Who's more fun to roster? It's a good question, isn't it? Time running down. It is more fun to take Jalen. I'm just going to take Randle, though. What the hell just happened then? All right, I'll just take Julius Randle. There you go. Not the sort of player that I would target in that zone in a category format, obviously, but in a points format, he could go a round and a half higher than that comfortably. Jalen Johnson's got to start to come off the board here really soon. I can't see it being too far away. Surely someone like Luka or Adam Stock takes him next. Evan Mobley also hanging around a little bit longer than I expected. Des Bane goes. Okay. Not sure about that one. That's probably not the direction I would have gone there. Jaylen Brown should be someone that we start to look at. I think here I'm going to stick him into my queue. We're so far away from my pick, 13 picks away, that whatever I do here is going to be evaporated. There's the 2 guys I was looking at. Adam Stock takes Mobley at 43. Sugar takes Jalen Johnson at 44, which I think is pretty good value for both of those guys. And then I think the next best value is probably Jaylen Brown sitting around. Oh, there he goes there at the next pick. And then probably Emmanuel quickly. Now it's my man, Alperen Şengün. It's his selection. I predict Karan's going to take Emmanuel quickly is my guess when it gets to his selection. I'll tell you what zone or Towns goes to Şengün, which is fine. There you go. Karan, Emmanuel quickly. Picked it. I tell you what we're dangerously getting close to. Cam Thomas territory. Probably won't do it, but we are getting to that zone where I go, okay. Thomas averaged 32 fantasy points last season. We expect him to do more this season. So this is the sort of 40-point, 38-point fantasy zone for Yahoo scoring. That's the sort of area we're in. Mossab looking to finish this off here for round 4. Jimmy Butler around, DeMar DeRozan around. Obviously, uncertainties with both of those guys. Different sorts of uncertainties, clearly, but some uncertainties. Well, there goes DeMar DeRozan. July Baby says Siakam should be ranked higher. Then why didn't you pick him higher? I agree, you probably should have gone a little bit higher than that. DeRozan ends out round 4. Who will be, Kuzma goes, wow, okay. Started round 5. Will Karan take Cam Thomas here? That's the question. Will he take Ayton? He won't take Ayton. Will he take Barrett? I think he'll do that. He does take Cam Thomas. There you go. Cam Thomas goes with the next pick. Jimmy Butler. Some risk there with injury, obviously, especially that whole team, but Jimmy Butler in round 5 makes sense. He averaged 38 fantasy points last season, which is about this area of the draft that we're looking at. Death Skeller takes RJ Barrett. This is about right for him. We're looking at the Jamal Murray, Franz Wagner, Rudy Gobert zone. Well, there goes Gobert as well at number 53. Gobert averaged 38.5 last season. Josh Giddey, Adam Stock. Reasonable. 29 last season for Giddey. He can very, very easily exceed this number. Like 37, 39, 40, very easily. I like that pick. And I didn't even realize, we are getting back to me here. So the top of my list is DeAndre Ayton. He was, but he's gone. So I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but I don't have to make that decision now. So now the question is, do I take Franz Wagner? Or do I take the headmaster, Jamal Murray? I think there's maybe a little bit too much hate going on with Jamal Murray. He obviously looked terrible through the Olympics. I'm just going to take him now. Getting Jamal Murray at 56, I think is relatively reasonable. Not that like that's a huge steal or anything like that in a points format. I think that's probably about bang on. But that's the direction that we went. Now that does sort of even out my team. I'm still looking for a center, but Sabonis can play that center position. And I've got my guard spot open as well. Then it's all just flexes. The next pick was Franz Wagner, which is about the right spot as well. And everyone's sort of just on track here. We're getting into the players that everyone hates zone. Tobias Harris, Yusuf Nurkic, Miles Turner's been in that zone at times in the past. Darius Garland, Jordan Poole. We're getting to that zone here. Well, there goes Garland at number 58. We are also moving into John Kuminga territory. We're moving into Nikola Vucevic territory. We're probably already there into Vuce territory at the moment, to be honest. The Nurkic one, again, people would not probably realize this, but he averaged 34 fantasy points a game last season, which is a sort of bang on this zone. Brandon Miller, okay. That one, what did Miller go last season? 28.5. We expect more from him. I don't mind it. It's maybe marginally early, but it's okay. I don't think there's too much wrong with that at this position. And now we're about to finish off round 5. We'll see what Raised by Wolves does here. Jalen Green, okay. I think there is too much downside risk with Jalen at that spot. It just feels too early, man. There goes Jarrett Allen, which I like at that position. Now, the top of my board is Tobias Harris, who, last season he averaged, 33 fantasy points? Like, he could be 35 this season. Am I going to paint myself as the Tobias Harris guy? Because I'm not. I gave him a nickname because he was so incredibly boring as a player. But I do think there is a ton of hate about Tobias, and I do like to push back on some of the narratives that do emerge. Jordan Poole, there goes Toby. I don't have to make that decision. Jordan Poole goes at 62. Toby Harris goes at 63. Poole and Harris, I think that's about right. We're also moving into the territory of another guy who is hated on by, I'm not really sure who, like maybe somebody that you might know does it, but is it Vooch? This is Bulls maligned players zone. Levine, Vucevic. Miles Turner goes next. So what do I do here? Do I take Levine? Do I take Vooch? I might just... Yeah, all right. Let's take Vooch. As much as I'm down on Vooch, and I was down on him last season, this is... Look, is it great value? I think it's fine. I think it's pretty good. But no one's absolutely standing out as this immense value here. The other guy if I wanted to really consider some upside play there, like John Kuminga's sort of calling out at this stage. And some of the guys I think are going to slide here are going to be a Nurkic and a Colin Sexton, who I think will push back towards the end of maybe the next round even. So there could be some guys who I have on my watch list. I'll throw Jalen Duren on the watch list as well. All right, what is the next selection? Brandon Ingram goes. It's just so much. The Pelicans show came out earlier today. You saw that. Maybe not. We'll be trying to figure out what on earth is going on with this team and how bad Brandon Ingram was in the playoffs and how the fit is weird. But he still can put up numbers. We just don't sort of know what's going to happen. And that makes it a little risky for me at that spot. Let's see what Adam Stock is doing here at this selection after he went Giddey in round 5. So he's following on that Ingram pick. He's at pick number 67. He takes Miles Bridges. I think that is good for Bridges. Bridges last season was 51st. He averaged 37, but it is a different environment. We've got a more ramped up Brandon Miller. We allegedly have more than 20 games of LaMelo Ball. So that should impact Bridges negatively. Jalen Duren, the passport legend, goes there. Yeah, that's fine. We would love to get some defensive stats from him. Probably never going to happen. he should be locked in as a solid minute starter as well. There goes Zach LaVine. There goes Derek White. These are just all playing along, I think, in the right position. The interesting thing to me is going to be, like, Karan's going to take Yusuf Nurkic here. Let's book that in. The interesting thing to me is going to be who takes the stab at Porzingis and when they do it. Like, I won't do it in the top 100 at all. So it means I'm just not going to draft Porzingis. But somebody will do it. Kuminga. There you go. I've been talking John, and Karan takes him. Okay. That's good. I like that pick. Bradley Beal is sort of sitting around as an interesting enough option. Will he be there when he gets to me? Yusuf Nurkic also, just not remotely exciting at all. But, like, again, he averaged 34 points a game last season. I love a 34-pointer in round 7 if I can get it. I don't believe that Mason Plumlee is coming for his head or anything. So there goes Brad Beal at pick 72 to round out round 6. Good stuff. Solid pick. Very demure. What are we up to next? Nicky Claxton, Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons. These sort of players sitting around. Obviously some risks with Claxton and the Nets and Simons and the Blazers. Their production's fine, but it's the team and the role. Then you got like a Mark Williams. Like, do you trust him and Charlotte? Remembering that, yes, they were terrible last season at all that injury stuff. They also do have a new injury staff in there. My man Josh Longstaff, my alter ego as well. Hopefully he's changing some stuff around. After Beal goes Simons and then Claxton to Karan at pick 74. This is the beginning of round 7. So we've seen some of the big differences in points league valuations with guys like Randall, with guys like Banchero jumping up higher, guys like Van Vliet dropping, Jalen Williams dropping, Kuzma and Cam Thomas rising, Butler dropping, Barrett rising. This is the things that I think I am going to do a video on this again. I do it every year, but just highlighting how the differences play out and the guys you really need to pay attention to, because sites like Yahoo put out an X-Rank list, which is a mashup of points and categories, which in the end helps nobody except you once you know what it is and how you can use it to your advantage. If you use it as a straight list, you're going to be bad in a lot of cases. But if using that list to understand what it is and where it comes from and what the discrepancies are, that's where that comes useful to you. After Claxton goes Hartenstein to my man Alperen Şengün, who has moved off my hit list. He's putting together some good picks here. And now, what a run of centers. Jakob Poeltl goes at that spot, which, again, I think is relatively reasonable. But, my man Nurkic hasn't gone. There he goes. Nurkic, I think, could have easily been argued to be ahead of, even Jalen Duren back around a head where Sugar took Duren in that spot. All right. Colin Sexton is, I guess he's going to start for the Jazz. He was pretty good last season. He averaged 30. Chris Middleton is going to be in this zone as well, but it's all about trusting health. I'm going to put Devin... I was going to put Devin Vassell. Someone just took him. Adam Stock took Devin Vassell. I don't like that. This actually might be D'Angelo Russell territory, and I am... Or do I take Sexton? I feel that no one's going to grab Sexton, and I'm maybe going to get him on the way back around. So can I do D'Lo? But even... I don't know about this. I'm not sure D'Lo is immense value here. The other one is... another one might be interesting is Mikal Bridges. But he goes... do I take Sexton and then grab the other guy on the D'Lo on the way back around, or do I take D'Lo and hope Sexton comes back? Even though I do think that Sexton will probably outproduce D'Angelo Russell this season, I think, and this is a little bit of draft strategy, which could easily bite me on the ass, I think that it's more likely that Sexton flies back around to me, and then in my head I'll just say that I drafted Sexton in round 7 and Russell in round 8. But I don't think that if I took Sexton there that I would get Russell in the next pick. Not that I absolutely have to have both of those guys. I just think they're sitting there as relatively good values. Some of the guys that I'd like to push back are going to be Mark Williams and Chris Middleton if we get them in the next round. Terry Rozier wasn't particularly strong last season in Miami, but that is not far off where I think his value sits. Interesting that he goes before Tyler Hero. Scoot Henderson goes. Okay. It's getting to the stage where I'm going to have to put Mark Williams onto my queue. I did not. So he's there. Valanciunas, also going to be someone we start to look at. Yes, there's a lot of centers in Washington, but I feel pretty good that he is better than Rashawn Holmes and better than Marvin Bagley. And Alex Sarr's not going to play the 5 initially, so I feel pretty solid about Valanciunas, as much as I was very much anti-Valanciunas correctly the last 2 seasons. We'll see whether I'm going to be correct on being a little bit higher on him this year. So after Scoot goes Kobe White and then Austin Reeves. I think both of those are very reasonable selections in that spot. So we are getting close to my lifelong dream, of getting Colin Sexton onto my team. We'll see. We'll see whether we get there. I'm impressed, and I'll also say surprised, but I am impressed that nobody has fallen for the Porzingis move. Ooh, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I did not see that coming. We are getting into... It's got to be Hero soon. Jeremy Grant. Holy crap. No, absolutely not. Maybe. Keontae George. Ooh, that's a nice little upside play. I like that. Let's see what July Baby does. Now, people have different opinions on players all the time, and July Baby seems to have different opinions than me, and that's awesome, because I'm picking after him. It means I can get my guys. He's like, Rozier, big season. I'm like, maybe not. Yeah, Siakam should have been high. I'm not sure. But that's good. I like to have the different opinions there, because that means that hopefully some other guys, it provides a different point of view, but also some other guys can slide, and hopefully my man Colin Sexton pops in here. Or do I take the big fella Mark Williams? No, it's got to be Sexton for me. Oh, he took Shaden Sharp, which is, I'll say that's head scratching at pick 88. I'll take Sexo there. That is all my starters filled out. It is. All right, W. Yeah, that's Shaden Sharp one. He is a little head scratching in that spot, but whatever. That's okay. Luka, B7. What are you deciding on? We're into that zone of like, do I take a look at CJ McCollum? But we don't know the role. Trace Jackson-Davis, who knows if he's 18 or 24 minutes. But Valanciunas, Mark Williams, Tyler Hero, Ivica Zubats, Jabari Smith, they all look pretty solid around this area. And someone who I didn't mention was Chris Paul, who just went there. I think we could have probably waited a round or two on Chris Paul, but there he goes at number 91. Tyler Hero, Chris Paul behind Tyler Hero in a points league does not make sense to me. But that's where Adam Stock is able to clean up and pick up Tyler Hero in that spot, which I think is really, really smart. The 2 centers, there's 3 centers left here who should start to go soon. We're talking Williams, Valanciunas, and Zubats. But a little surprised to see them last this long. Oh, Sugar takes the plunge on Middleton at 92, which again is, I think, pretty reasonable. Middleton last season was not obviously very good. He played 25 minutes a night, and he was still better than this position. He was 89th per game. Yeah, we worry about surgeries and injuries and knees and ankles, but like at that point, that's really hard to argue against. What are the chances that one of these centers gets back to me? I'd say it's decent chance. And then we do start to move into flyer type territory. Probably not. Not round 9. We're probably looking at, there goes Mark, or Clint Capella and Mark Williams. So Capella before Okongwu. I'm very excited that this week I am doing. This is going to be the end of my team preview shows this week coming up. But we've got the Hawks one coming up. And I'm very excited to talk to Brad Rowland just to get into the Clint Capella debate for 4 years in a row. So Karan is going to take Valanciunas here. Or is he going to take Zubats? He'll take one of them. He takes Zubats. All right. So let's see what Mossab does to finish out round 8. Jonas Valanciunas. I am very select. Valanciunas last season averaged 28 fantasy points in 23 minutes a game. I don't think he's only playing 23 in Washington. I think people are I think people think that Valanciunas was limited the way that he was because he sucks. He's not Vooch. I'm not saying that he's very good, but he was limited because of the fit with Zion. I think the fit with Sarr, it actually makes a lot of sense. I think he'll play quite a bit more than last season. But there is a risk, of course, that he's traded at some point, or they just do start to play more Sarr at center to get other minutes in for guys. I don't know that that's going to happen necessarily. Jabari Smith finishes off round 8, and then Ben Simmons at round... Like, you can take a flyer on Ben Simmons. You don't want to do it there, I don't think. That's the start of round 9 for Ben Simmons. So round 11, 12, whatever. This spot, Simmons averaged 27 a game in the 2 minutes that he played last season. But that's the thing, isn't it? I am, again, surprised and encouraged that nobody has gone with Kristaps Porzingis yet, but we are getting into Kristaps Porzingis territory. Outside the top 100, we are starting to get into that zone of taking that fly, but he may not play 30 games this year. Well, there goes Valanciunas to Alperen Şengün. Karan takes Amen Thompson, then Jalen Suggs goes to Detskeller. Trey Murphy at number 101 is a strong pick, and now it is... Oh, hang on a second. CJ McCollum's still there. Adam Stock's going to take CJ McCollum and clean up, isn't he? Again, I don't like... There are players that I don't love as players or have not loved as fantasy guys in the past, and a few of them are on my team. Randall and Vooch and Sexton. Of course, Stock took McCollum. Like, that was the obvious pick for me coming back around, and I don't get it now. Keegan Murray is standing out as an intriguing one, but DeRozan is going to have a sizable impact on Keegan, I'm pretty sure. Keegan averaged 28.8 last season. That could easily go down. Denny Avdia goes, okay. Denny averaged 31 last season. That's, okay, reasonable. Reasonable spot for Denny. But we are getting into a little bit of the dregs here. Oh, it's my pick. Josh, you better shut up and do something. So maybe it is 23 seconds. Maybe I do take Keegan here. I am very interested in Trace Jackson-Davis, but I'm not biting on it. I'm going to take Keegan Murray there. But Jackson-Davis, if Trace gets 25 minutes, which I think he might, he is massive value here. So I took Keegan at 104. OG Anunoby goes at 105. Again, the difficult part, the hard part is figuring out where the minutes are for a lot of these guys. The other guys to look at here, Andrew Wiggins, Podziemski, Kessler, Malik Monk, Drew Holiday. Well, there goes Drew at 106. And now I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want to do on mine. Zach Edey goes at 107. I don't think that Zach Edey in a points league is going to be remotely close to his value in a category league. And even then, at that spot, there's no chance I'm doing that. Asar Thompson goes next. A little bit of a weird spot in Detroit. Like, is it Ivy? Is it Asar? Is it Holland? Is it Fontecchio? Maga Porter Jr. goes. Poop Cookie Legend goes at 110. Followed by Podziemski at 100. Podziemski 110. Porter 109. Solid for Podziemski. Solid pick. Andrew Wiggins sitting around. Jackson Davis. We are getting closer to that flyer territory. Usually I like to wait till round 11 to do it. Like, do I take a Wiggins here instead? Do I take Derek Lively? Now, look, at some point I'm just going to lean into my guess that Trace is able to get to 24 minutes. Well, there goes Wiggins. I don't have that choice. So if Trace gets 24 minutes... he's easily hitting this number, I think. Where are we at? Like 100 and... Yeah, it's going to be 113. I'm like, yeah, I'm good with that. Jeremy Sohan and John Collins should be starting to be discussed. And honestly, Russell Westbrook is going to be an option here. As much as we think Christian Brown is going to start, and I think he will, Westbrook will play minutes, unbelievably, next to Jamal Murray. I think that's almost certainly going to happen. Ooh, Dante DiVincenzo in a points league, not very good. And in this season situation, not the greatest spot. Like last season, he was averaged 28 fantasy points, which is, again, that's not terrible, but it's obviously a different situation this season to where it was last season. I did take Trace Jackson-Davis there at number 113. I was considering Porzingis. We are definitely getting into that Porzingis zone, but again, if he's not playing half the season, it's really, really hard to make that pick. The production's obviously awesome. There goes Derek Lively. I'm going to just chuck Russ into my queue. I'm going to chuck... Who the hell is Charlie Westbrook? I'm going to chuck Sohan into my queue as well. Aaron Gordon goes for Adam Stock. Aaron Gordon, much better in points than categories. Nice spot for him. Really consistent. Not much in terms of limiting upside. There goes John Collins, I think, which will trigger someone to take Walker Kessler as well. Well, not really, because Kessler's at the top of this queue. Herb Jones also ranked really, really highly on this scoring system. I don't really get why he'd be ranked there when he averaged only 24 fantasy points per game last season, when that's really not the area of the draft that we're in. Caruso. What did Caruso average last season? 26. Maybe. Draymond goes here, which is, I think, pretty good, pretty reasonable value. Very good value, actually. I think Curran might do the Porzingis. No, he takes Sohan. Interesting. July says that might be too high for Jackson Davis. Who am I to question the GOAT? A, not the GOAT, just someone with an opinion. B, yeah, it could very well be too high for Jackson Davis. Could well be. Alex Sarr goes at 120, and then there we go. First pick for his bench, Porzingis at 121. Mossab takes him. When you're sitting at the turn like that at pick number 1, you get the first pick of everyone's benches, so you can start to make those moves. That's why sometimes your bench creep, which is a term I literally just invented right now, should maybe start to be considered in round 10, especially if you're picking at the start of round 10, because you know that these guys at the start of round 11 are going to start grabbing those players. Curran takes Russell Westbrook. Reasonable. I think that's a really good spot for him. I've got Walker Kessler on my queue. I'm also going to consider Onyeka Okongwu. Do I have inside information on that? I'm not telling. No, I don't, but maybe I do. We'll see whether we go with him. Naz Reid also a little surprised that Naz hasn't come off yet. The Wizard of Noz. But I've got Kessler, I've got Okongwu. I'm going to chuck Reid. Reid probably gets 1 or 2 extra minutes with Kyle Anderson gone at power forward, but there's no starting role there for him or anything along those lines. Malik Monk to Alperen Şengün is a very, very good pick there. Monk averaged 28 points a game, probably loses 1 to 2 of those with DeRozan in town, but still, I do like that positioning for him. He is a key part of what they do, clearly. I think Kessler is going to be my guy if he makes it to me. Otherwise, we're going to take a Kongwu or Reid. Well, obviously, there are 3 guys in my queue, so why wouldn't I? Detzker. We got 3 more rounds after this one, and then we are out of here. Michael Conley. What was Mike Conley's numbers last season? 26 fantasy points. Okay. Fine. I'm a little surprised that no one has bidden on Tyus Jones yet. I think that'll probably come. Little surprised that no one's taken the Dyson Daniels flyer. He's not as good of a points league guy as he is a category league guy. I'll throw Tyus in there too. And there was someone else I wanted to throw in, the Tari Eason. Let's see what Stocky does here. Dan Gafford goes to Sugar in round 11. And while I'm not big on Gafford significantly earlier, I like that. He's taking Jaden Ivey. So look, Ivey could very easily blow up or he could be terrible. I feel like there's almost no in between here. Al Horford to Luka, who is not a good points league player in comparison to category value, but it's actually pretty solid here. And now with all this waffling, it's my pick. Do I take? Yeah, let's take Kessler. All right, we getting Walker Kessler at pick 128. I'm absolutely here for it. Obviously, love it. Still, who else are we looking at? Who are some names that are standing out to me here as some names that maybe people will be jumping on? There's not a lot. We're getting into the Zach Richichets. Grade A Dick. Yeah, it's getting... Ooh, it's my voice cracks. It's getting a little bit rough here. Well, there goes Naz Reid to July Baby, which I do like as a pick there. I am surprised that Kongwu has lasted here. PJ Washington also, I'm a little surprised that he has not been selected. And Tyus Jones too. What did Tyus average last season? Tyus averaged 29 fantasy points. Yeah, like he should be going. It's probably a mistake for me, honestly, to not have taken him at that spot. But Steph Castle, Spurs preview coming up next week as well. I don't get it. I don't get the hype for Steph Castle. I don't get it. And then Bilal goes at 132, and I'm also not interested in Bilal as a points league guy either. I'm all for upside plays. That Tony pick of Brook Lopez there, by the way, really good. I'm not... Yeah, either of those guys, Steph Castle and Bilal, don't profile to me as really strong points league players. There goes Tyus Jones. That is real. As much as, again, I don't think that Tyus is a 32-minute-a-night player in Phoenix. That's really good value there. Matas Buzelis. So he's taken 2 rookies in a very weak class who are projecting to be backups. It's not... Take one of them. I'm not loading up on 2 of them. I don't... They'll be dropped immediately, I think. Like me taking a Tari Eason or a Dyson Daniels or Andy Nembhard or Malcolm Brogdon, a stash of Andre Drummond. PJ Washington, not a super exciting player, but he averaged 27 a game last season, and we're at pick 135 now. Tony takes Herb Jones. I don't know if that got auto-picked. I don't know if he meant that, but we're 12 rounds in. I'm not going to go back and undo that one at this point. Also, a little surprising, Bobby Portis and Klay Thompson still not picked. Thought they would have gone off the board so far, but no. Okay. All right. Someone will take a Noah Clowney flyer, I'm pretty sure, so I'm going to throw him. Who just went there? Josh Hart. Let's take a Kongwu. Come on. I'm going to put Clowney into the queue. Like, you can be disappointed by the way the Hawks run things, but again, is this the season? Do I know anything? No. But is this the season? At pick 137, I don't actually care if it's not the season. I'll take the crack. Okongwu was 148th last season. What are we looking at here? Luka takes Paul Washington Jr. Good stuff. And now it is Adam Stock, who I think might go the Malcolm Brogdon route. He might go Karis LeVert here. I could see Dennis Schroeder being an option for him too. Stocky is not as big of an upside flyer type guy who I've noticed from the mocks that I do with him. Maybe I'll get him on the show at some point soon just to talk through that strategy. But he takes Bobby Portis at 139. Dennis Schroeder goes at 140, and while I don't love Schroeder at all, I think that's a pretty good spot for him. KCP, I know he'll be a starter in Orlando. I don't really get him in points leagues whatsoever. I'm just trying to find what he averaged last season. 21. Yeah, that's not for me, Dead Skeller, but that's okay. That's okay. I think I'm going to throw Zach Ricochet just into the queue after KCP goes Cam Johnson, which I like. Dyson Daniels and Tari Eason will be my next two picks. Curran will take one of those guys. In fact, Curran might take Drummond here. There is a strategy idea like of taking a handcuff. If you've got Embiid, you take Drummond. There's also a strategy idea, especially when you're talking about roto leagues, stashable leagues, draft-only leagues, of taking somebody else's handcuff. Because if they have Embiid and they go, well, if I have Drummond and then Embiid goes down, I'm okay. But if you get in and get that Drummond, then if Embiid gets hurt, that means you get a gigantic boost and your opponent gets a big hit. It's like, what am I going to call it? Reverse handcuffing? Fluffy handcuffing? I don't know. But it's like, me and Curran actually were in a roto league together last season, and we both did that. Last picks. We looked at the guys sort of around us who we thought had good teams, and I tried to take handcuffs of their best players. And if it didn't work out, we moved on. But that was the idea that we had. And I think it makes some sense. Curran takes Klay Thompson, then it goes Wendell Carter and Kevin Porter to Mossab at the end of 12 and start of 13. So the guy that has Embiid is, who was it? Dayrock, got him at pick 11. Like if I was one of these guys like Tony next to him, Curran did it. He took Drummond. All right, Drummond can have value on his own, but it also is a debalancing handcuff scenario. One of the other guys that's around that is marginally intriguing is Malcolm Brogdon. We don't expect him to play a full season, but we're getting to the point where whatever you get out of him is a bonus, and then if he's hurt or traded, you just drop him. Because he probably exceeds, we're at 148. I would say Brogdon exceeds this value while he plays, and then you move on. So I think that's getting to be a reasonable spot. And if I have a look at my squad, put Brogdon in the queue. Noah Clowney goes, so Deathskiller taking the upside there. Like I've got my upside players, my Daniels and Easons and Ricochets, and then a couple of safer, and not that Mitch Robinson's necessarily safer, but Mitch Robinson, Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert will start to come in there. Like we'll just sort of play it by ear. Andy Nembhard is an option. Taylor Hendricks went, by the way, as well. So when Hendricks, Clowney, Isaac. What's people's thoughts on Ben Mathurin this season? Terrible season last season. Nembhard is clearly ahead of him at the moment. Yeah, interesting. I hope I can get Dyson here. Dyson averaged 19 points last season, fantasy points, in limited minutes, obviously. Mitch Robinson to stock. Again, he loves just hitting those guys that slide. And that's, Mitch Robinson there, I think is immense value. And he was, as you saw, on my queue. Kelly Oubre goes next. This, to me, is my... Look, I could take... do I take Brogdon? I could take Brogdon here. I don't have much in the upside. I got Jackson Davis as an upside. Let's take Daniels, and then we'll try Brogdon on the way back around. Although Eason is standing out also as an option. It's a tough strategy idea there for me. Brogdon clearly, I think, will outperform Daniels on a per-game basis the first 2 months. But, is that worth it? It probably is. It probably is. But the fact that I'd gone a little safer with a Kessler and a Kongwu, I wanted to take a little bit of an upside. Not that Daniels is a huge upside hit player, to be honest. There's not a lot around upside hit-wise. Maybe you consider, do you consider Christian Brown an upside guy? Do you consider Grade A Dick? It's a little empty here. I think Eason or Melton is maybe another interesting one. So after I took Daniels, Aaron Neesmith went. I don't like him in category leagues. Grade A Dick is a good pick from Tone. Karis LeVert also sort of just sitting around. An injury to Mitchell or to Garland would elevate him much higher than this. A lot of fantasy favourites there. Olynyk and Melton still around, but they're more category favourites. Jaime Jaquez might be worth a stash as well. Stick him into the queue. Dayrock takes Grayson Allen. Just think there's going to be a big decline from Grayson Allen this season. Another interesting guy could be Ayodosumu, coming up in some picks here. Ooh, Kieran Ellis goes. Not really a points league guy, I don't think. But I would expect that he has the inside track to start in Sacramento. Ricochet goes at 14, and that is the end of Raised by Wolves. Nice flyer on Zach, who we don't know if he's going to start or not. Gaz Trent goes there, probably a starter in Milwaukee. Pretty strong pick as well. And then we're getting back to my pick. I will take, or do I take Eason or Brogdon? That is hard. I think it's Eason for me if we get to that spot. But I'm very happy with Eason or Brogdon if we get back there. We'll see. Well, there goes Andy Nembhard. So I will get one of Eason or Brogdon. I'm okay with that. I feel pretty good about that, actually. So I will take Tari maybe this season. Hopefully. So it is hard to find big minutes for him, though. Unless something wild happens, which could always go down. Andy Nembhard goes at pick 159. July Baby looking to make his last selection. Obviously, one of my guys that I like as a last round pick. I'm just going to throw him into the queue, and I think someone will take him here. Is Carlo Makovic. I'm just going to throw him into the queue. Potential starter for the Pelicans. Maybe you could even throw Daniel Tice there. Oh, Cam Whitmore goes. I'll take the guy that I think might be better, and that is Tari Eason. So Rockets reserves going off the board there. Yeah, Whitmore never really entered my head as an option there. Look, would you consider a Bub Carrington? That's like one that if you're in stashable formats, best balls, larger benches, roto, that I think Carrington will have a solid run, but he's a rookie point guard, blocked by Jordan Poole and Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not that interested early on. Peyton Pritchard for Luka, he's going to have good fill-in moments, but on a day-to-day basis, how do you use him? Really tough to see how that works, but, whatever. Norman Powell could be a guy here. I am a little... Stocky is going to take Brogdon here, I think, and that's going to really give him good numbers. Really good numbers, I think. Yeah, there you go. This is what Adam does. He looks at the projection because I'll just take the guy that I think is the best here. He's not really taking swings on it, and that is a viable strategy. It definitely makes your draft look great. It is a viable strategy. Like, taking a Portis there, taking Gordon, taking McCullum, taking Hero, taking Brogdon, taking Robinson, taking Vassell. Nearly every one of those picks that he made, even a Mobley at that spot, were, this guy's just fallen to me. Why not? Maybe I'll talk to him more specifically about that, but that's what that feels like to me. Like, let's just do it, yeah? Like, they're here. They project pretty well. I don't care about the upside. The Winter Soldier, Max Strus, goes at 165. Strus 164, Bud Hield 165. I don't think that Buddy is going to start for Golden State. I think he's not a very good points league player either. So, yeah, I won't do that. I am surprised that he went and D'Anthony Melton did not yet. 3 picks left. Let's see what happens. Kelly Olynyk, Donovan Clingan, and the final pick is, no one is going to take my man Carlo Makovic. No one's going to take Melton. Marcus Smart, Jaime Jaquez. Who was that final pick? Marcus Smart it was. Okay, so there we go. That is the draft done. What is interesting to this is we went one position deeper than default Yahoo, we went to 14 players, 10 starters, 4 bench. You know that I think you should push out further to 10 and 6 maybe. I think you should go deeper because look at the players who are available here. Karis LeVert, Jordan Clarkson, DeAnthony Melton, Brandon Clark, Lou Dort, McConnell, Matherin, Powell, Hachimura, Keldon Johnson, Christian Brown, Caleb Martin, Jaime Jaquez, Ayodosumu, Obi Toppin, DeAndre Hunter. These are, not saying they're great players, but they're guys who are going to have roles, like Bob Carrington, Pat Williams. Then we start, Fontecchio. We start to get a little, Daniel Tice. We start to get a little bit lower, Derek Jones. There are some options available. Reed Shepherd didn't get picked. Trey Mann may start. I don't think he will. Josh Green in Charlotte. Like, these guys didn't get selected. So anyway, let's go and look at my team. We go to Sabonis, LeBron, DeJounte, Julius Randle, Jamal Murray, Nikola Vucevic in round 6, D'Angelo Russell, Colin Sexton, Keegan Murray, Trace Jackson Davis, Walker Kessler, Onyeka Okongwu, Dyson Daniels, and Tari Eason. Picking from 8 is not a great spot. Don't love picking at that spot. Karan was using my projections. I am certain of that. His numbers come out really well. He is on, comes out projected on top, followed by Şengün, Sugar, Mosab, and me, which are all of the top picks there. Detskeller didn't. Then it was Adam, and then it was Detskeller, Luca, Tony, July, Dayrock, and Raised by Wolves. But picking at the end of the first round is very different to picking at the start of the first round. That is the end of the mock draft. Yahoo points scoring format, 12 teams, 14-man rosters, 10 and 4. I picked at 8. You can tell me what you thought of the team, what you would have done differently, how you value the players. Go ahead. Drop that in the comments below, but when you're there, just give it the old sneaky, cheeky thumb. And guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.